Let's talk about miniatures. I've been known to do some role-playing. So, making a portal is probably a good idea for your D&D game because portals are a kind of feature that you can actually base an entire campaign on, much like the RPG Oblivion, where the entire purpose of that game, at least the overlining plot, is you're closing up portals to the hell dimension Oblivion, sort of an invasion of demons coming through, and you want to shut that down. You can easily do that in your game, or you can use lots of portals if you're playing a game like Planescape. It's just another location that you can use a lot, like a tavern. There are just portals everywhere. So, and if you need some other ideas for portal-based adventures, of course, you've got movies to draw on, like Stargate or House 1 and 2. Anyway, I'm going to slap a portal together today in just minutes, and I'm going to make it out of junk. Hope you enjoy it. Now, here I've got my portal mocked out. I'm going to be using a little bit of PVC pipe, tiny bit, and the cap to a squeezable fruit pouch. A couple of these cardboard circles, nicely machined. A skull made out of Durham's Rock Hard putty but you can use any kind of a Halloween novelty skull. This pyramid piece here came from a Matchbox Curse of the Mummy set. I'll be using cardboard from this box of litter, and you'll notice I use boxes of litter a lot because the cardboard is super thick and very strong. I'll be using a little bit of craft sand as well. Now I'm measuring out 7 by 7 inches. Here I'm going to make a square. That way you can put it on a grid if you want to. You'll have that option. We're going to cut this out with a utility knife. We're going to put a little bit of E6000 on top of our tiny PVC pipe, and we're going to put our squeezable fruit cap on top of that. I'm going to clean away any excess glue with a toothpick. I'm using this mostly used up roll of duct tape to trace out a nice circle inside our cardboard circle, and then we're going to cut that out with our utility knife as well. I'm going to try to cut that as nicely as possible, but if it's a little bit jagged, that's okay. It's really not going to ruin the effect. After all, it is supposed to be carved out of stone. I'm just going to pop that circle out, and we're going to then divide that circle up into, we're just going to keep bisecting it. We're set 12 chunks, and then we're going to chop that up, that inner circle. We're going to cut that inner circle out. We're going to bisect it into 12 different chunks, and then we're going to cut those all out individually. We'll be using those later. Let's get a little hot glue on the bottom of our pyramid. Now, of course, if you don't have a pyramid set like this, you can easily make something out of foam or use some other kind of toy. I'm using this because it's a really good fit for my purposes, and I got to use my junk up, and half of the point of the show is just using found objects and junk to make terrain and not fabricating very much. You'll notice I don't make a whole lot out of foam. I don't use, although I have a foam cutter, I barely ever use it. I'm far more into just breaking down old toys and slapping stuff together. Or, gluing things together out of craft wood. And we'll be hot gluing our pillars and our pyramid down here. Just make sure hold them in place, make sure they've set and the glue's cured. Now the pyramid has these lovely little slots to hold our cardboard in the back here, so we can put that in place. And of course we're going to secure it with hot glue, and then also secure it onto the board itself using that same hot glue gun. Now all those little chunks of cardboard we cut out of the center circle, we're going to start placing around the ring to look like stonework. When it's finished, it'll have a nice effect. It doesn't look like much now. I'm gluing this craft stick in the back here to, one, conceal the workings of the plastic toy and the cardboard, but also to add a little extra support. We're going to hot glue that in. Let's put our plastic skull up here. Mine's, again, made out of Durham rock hard putty, but any kind of Halloween plastic novelty skull thing would work. And it doesn't have to be a skull either. A bat would probably be okay, or really any kind of a symbol, lockets, amulets. I'm sure you can find something that'll look good at the top of the portal. I'm just partial to the skull. Now it's basically assembled, so let's start putting flock. I use a watered down PVA glue and some craft sand from the dollar store, and I just put that on the corners and the back here. And of course we're gonna have to sit and let that dry. I usually let it sit overnight, or at least for a couple of hours before I start trying to work with this stuff. Now I've primed this in black. Gonna go with black and just work my way up. And I'm gonna lay down a base coat of brown on the side. I'm gonna paint the portal because it's the very inner section. Putting the base coat down there is a dark blue. That's our shadow. And of course we're gonna dry brush lighter grays. 2 times, just sort of a stony gray. I'm going to base coat, I should say, the stonework with, the pyramid and the portal itself, and then I'm going to dry brush a lighter gray onto that. I'm going to put a dark purple and black into the skull's eyes and nose, and I'm going to start putting red rune details. You can actually look things up. I am just pulling these out of my butt. I'm just making these symbols up as I go. I've done this a few hundred times, so at this point, it's not hard for me to come up with stuff. And I'm just sort of slapping things on there. Just to, make it look like it's enchanted. And I always add a little third eye to the skull just as something to draw the eye. Let's take a look at the finished product here.